right? I had one specific question, if you could, because it's a big overlooked, I feel like, macronutrient, which is fats.
Yep.
A lot of people don't take that into account. I've heard people over years, even this kid I remember in high school was trying to like cut weight and trim. He was like an athlete at the time, but he was trying to just like eat chicken and broccoli.
Yeah.
With no basis of carbohydrates, no rice, no nothing, and no basis of fats. Obviously a young kid,
yeah.
but people in general too don't see dietary fats as a thing, or they're getting very poor fat content from these highly processed oils or things, right? And people also don't see the difference of fats when you talk about protein sources. If you're eating a ribeye versus a filet mignon, let's say, right? Totally different macronutrient profiles.
Yeah.
Because of the fat content, right? But people don't even think that way. So what's a huge detriment of not having fats in your diet? You spoke on hormones. What else are fats kind of good for other than an energy source? Like, how does that system work?
Totally, yeah, no, I mean, like you said, nice little slow burning energy source, that's kind of the main thing. And then just from a hormonal and like a neurological standpoint, right? So like, I mean, obviously fats are, you know, they're the things that are going to help your body create hormones, right? So we got to make sure we have adequate fat for that. Fats also, they create like a protective sheath around like axons in the body, so they sense like neurological signals, right? So as we're sending signals around the body, there's like a fat sheath that kind of protects that, right, and make sure the signals send. So that's a huge one there as well. And then just from like an energy availability, well, even just like hair, skin, nails, right? Like people's hair, skin will dry out and hair will become brittle and things like that when they don't have adequate dietary fats. So yeah, it's just like the body needs them to function, right? And if you think about it, it's like, you know, your brain is significantly made of fat. There's, you know, fatty acids kind of cruising around all over the body that are providing energy and things like that. So those are kind of the main functions that the dietary fats are going to provide. But yeah, from like a sources standpoint, I think like you said there, right? Like a lot of people don't pay attention to that, or it's the easy thing to remove or whatever when people are trying to, you know, go on a diet. Now, I mean, back in the day, like when I first started kind of getting into like fitness space back like, you know, mid 2000s kind of thing, like that was the enemy, right? Like
fat-free,
diet,
fat-free crackers, fat-free milk, fat-free.
If it said fat-free, like I would buy it. Like Special K chips were huge. Like I'd buy all the Special K products because it specifically said fat-free on the box. Crazy. Or I'd buy like cereal because there was no fat, right? So yeah, that's one of those things where I pulled that out actually from my diet because same thing. I was just trying to get, you know, as lean and shredded as I could get. And it worked, but also too, like my physical, like physiological function kind of hit the tanks there for a while. So it wasn't the best. And then you start to realize, okay, yeah, like in terms of like hormonal support and even like anti-inflammatory properties and things like that, you know, we need fats for a lot of different functions throughout the body. So, and again, it's like where are we getting them from, right? So that's where whole foods are going to come back into play. So if you're getting the majority of your fats from fatty meats and, you know, processed foods, that's the exact opposite of what I would recommend. You know, still want to pay attention. You know, I know now, like with the whole like, oh, eat more meat, eat more fatty meat, eat more saturated fat, all that stuff. I mean, still the research shows that like it's not going to probably be really beneficial in terms of like heart health and things like that. So I do try to keep, you know, for my recommendations to people, we try to keep the animal saturated fat low. So I'm always recommending, you know, very lean proteins for people. We try to keep, you know, these processed fats out and just processed foods in general, right, where they're going to have all these hydrogenated oils and things like that. So like baked goods and cookies and chips and crackers and all this stuff. Try to keep that low. And then really where we want to increase is like our mono and polyunsaturated fats. And so that's going to be in the form of like nuts, seeds, olive oils, avocados. And then, you know, we do need some saturated fat in the diet. And that's a big one for hormone production. So that's where I go more for like avocado, coconut, you know, those types of things for some saturated fat intake there as well.